My name is Claire, and I've spent most of my adult life in a courtroom listening to people lie. You'd think I'd be used to mean behavior by now, but nothing hurts as much as cruelty from your own sister. The party was held at a fancy resort. Fancy glasses clinked under bright lights and soft music played. My sister Ava's fiancé's family was everywhere with their perfect smiles and expensive clothes. And then there was me, the older sister no one introduced, the one they called quiet as if it were a bad thing. I arrived on time, wearing a simple black dress, just as I do for work. As I walked to the drink table, my sister looked at me and smiled. Not a warm smile, but one that said, "You don't belong here." She leaned in and whispered something to her friends, who all looked at me with curious, amused, and dismissive eyes. I didn't react. I've seen criminals try to trick a jury. I've watched families fall apart. But that night, I realized the worst pain doesn't come from strangers. It comes from the people who know exactly how to hurt you. People often think being quiet means you are weak. They think if you don't fight back, you have no strength. But the truth is, some of us learned that being unseen was safer. Growing up with Ava meant learning how to make myself small. She was the popular one, the one who knew how to smile just right to get what she wanted. "Your sister has a way with people," my parents would say. Meanwhile, I was the serious one who read books and corrected teachers. By high school, Ava had already decided I was boring. She would tell people I was adopted from a library and make fun of my clothes. My parents just laughed. "Claire just doesn't know how to have fun," my mom would chuckle. No one ever asked me what I wanted to be. I studied hard. I got lost in my books and law. I learned how to win arguments without yelling. While Ava was failing her college classes, I graduated early and went to law school. When my acceptance letter came, Ava just rolled her eyes and said, "So, you're going to be one of those serious women with no life, huh?" I didn't say anything. I didn't need to. After I finished school, I moved away and worked on important cases until my name became known. I became a judge at 38, the youngest in my city. The newspaper wrote about it. I sent a copy to my parents. No one called. The quiet from them wasn't a shock. By then, I had learned the difference between distance and peace. It didn't hurt like it used to. I had my courtroom, my office, and my life. I wore my title like a shield and used my voice to stop the nonsense from liars. In court, people listened to me. In my family, I was still just the older sister. I only saw Ava a few times after that, for family events where my mom begged us to act close. She would show up in sparkly dresses, always with a new story about how busy her social life was. We hadn't talked in over a year when I got the invitation. The card said, "Join us in celebrating the engagement of Ava Miller and Liam Jackson." There was no mention of me on the invite. Then came a text from her. "Hey sis, just so you know, you don't have to come if you're busy. Liam's family is important. Try not to wear anything too serious, okay?" That line stayed with me for days. She had no idea how serious I had become, how many lives I had changed with the tap of a gavel, how many powerful men had called me Your Honor with shaking voices. Ava still thought of me as the girl in old clothes who loved books. I was ready to break the silence that had followed me for years. The venue was a beautiful place on a hill. Ava's name was in gold letters on the sign, followed by Liam's in a slightly smaller size, which told me everything I needed to know about them. I arrived on time. I walked in, and a hostess handed me a drink and said, "Welcome." Her voice was polite, and I could tell she didn't know who I was. Perfect. Inside, the place was full of people with perfect smiles. I stayed near the back, watching how everyone gathered around Ava. She looked beautiful. But beauty and a good heart don't always go together. I saw our parents across the room. My dad's hair was grayer, but he had the same quiet look he always had. My mom was smiling, wearing a necklace I had sent her years ago, a gift she never thanked me for. She saw me, paused, and smiled with a polite confusion, then turned back to her friends. Not a word. I sat in a corner, hidden by a big flower arrangement. It was better this way. Then Ava found me. "Look who made it," she said, her voice full of fake warmth. "I wasn't sure you'd come. Didn't think this kind of party was your thing." "It usually isn't," I replied, matching her smile with my own. She looked at my dress with a raised eyebrow. "Black, huh? A bold choice." Sarcastic. I didn't bother to explain that black was what I wore when I wanted to be taken seriously. "I figured someone needed to balance the colors," I said instead. She laughed loudly. "Classic Claire, always so intense." She walked away before I could answer. Liam came to my table later. He looked like a politician, tall and smooth. "Claire, right?" he asked. "Ava's sister?" I nodded. "That's me." He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "She doesn't talk about you much. I wasn't sure if you two were close." I tilted my head. "We're sisters." He laughed, unsure what to do with that. "She said you do something with the law." I met his gaze. "Something like that." There was a little interest in his eyes, but it went away. He asked no more questions. Dinner ended, and people started giving speeches. Ava's friends got up one by one, giving toasts full of childhood stories. Ava loved the attention, her laughter floating through the room like she was used to being adored. I stayed at the back, hidden by the flowers. I wasn't there to be seen. They made it easy. Then Ava stood up. The lights on her dress shined brightly. "I just want to thank everyone for being here tonight," she said, smiling. "I know this may be a shock, but I wasn't always this perfect." Liam smiled, leaning back in his chair. "In fact," Ava went on, "growing up, I was the wild one. My sister, Claire, was the opposite. She was, let's just say, very strict, very serious. She once got mad because I borrowed her sweater without asking." Laughter filled the room. Laughter filled the room. I didn't move, my face showing nothing. "She's always been that way," Ava said, waving her hand. "Judgmental, stiff. Honestly, I'm just glad she showed up tonight. She's not big on family gatherings or, smiling." She looked right at me, then winked. Liam nudged her. "Be nice," he said with a grin. He turned to me, still smiling. "But seriously," he added, "we're lucky she made time. I mean, Ava said you work in, what was it? County records?" I tilted my head slightly, not speaking. "Or maybe an admin job," he added. "Either way, it sounds like important paperwork." There it was. The insult wasn't mean. It was worse. It was small. A small lie, spoken so easily it didn't even hurt. It just made things clear. Ava looked pleased. Her smile stretched wide, assuming I would, as always, be quiet. I wiped the edge of my glass and looked at Liam. "I'm sorry," I said calmly. "Where did you hear that?" He blinked. "Ava said something about you working in a government office." I didn't answer right away. "No," I said. "That's not right." Ava laughed nervously. "Oh, come on, don't be so dramatic." "She's right," I said, still looking at Liam. "I don't work in an office. I'm a judge." The room went silent. From another table, a voice spoke up. "Wait, Judge Claire?" Heads turned. Someone gasped. A woman closer to the stage narrowed her eyes. "From the big court case," she whispered. I heard it. So did Ava. Liam stared at me like he was seeing a ghost. "You're a judge?" he asked. I nodded once. "Superior Court, 11th District." His hand dropped from Ava's back. "But Ava said you never really made it far," he started. I didn't wait for the rest. The woman in the green dress near the bar spoke up again, louder now. "She handled that big case. The punishment got national news." More whispers. Phones came out. And Ava, her face changed. Not confident, not angry, just trapped. "I didn't know she was still doing that," she muttered. "I thought she gave it up." I stood up slowly. I folded my napkin and put it on my plate. Every move had weight now, not because I forced it, but because the weight had always been there. They just never saw it. I looked at Liam one last time. "When people don't ask questions," I said softly, "they shouldn't be surprised by the answers." Ava opened her mouth, but no words came out. She looked at our parents, who looked just as shocked. I walked past them all, past the surprised whispers. No need for a scene, just a quiet truth. I didn't need to explain myself. I didn't stay for dessert. There was nothing more to be said. Outside, the night felt peaceful. I walked to my car without looking back. My phone buzzed. A missed call from my mom. 2 texts from Ava. You should have told me. Why would you embarrass me like that? As if telling the truth was an attack. I didn't reply. They hadn't asked who I was for years. They had guessed, assumed, and turned me into the person who made them feel bigger. And when the truth came out, they didn't feel sorry. They felt exposed. I wasn't angry anymore. There was a time I would have done anything to be noticed, but I stopped needing that. What I had built didn't need their approval. I had earned every bit of my life with no help, no cheering, and no family name opening doors. Just work. Quiet, hard work. The kind that matters in places they never went. I imagined the talk inside. Ava rewriting stories. Liam realizing his smugness had limits. My parents sitting quietly, unsure what to think of the daughter they never bothered to understand. But I didn't need their understanding anymore. They didn't fail to see me because I was invisible. They failed because they never looked. Now they would. And even if they never said a word about it, never admitted they were wrong, something had changed. Not because I demanded it, but because the truth has a way of changing everything. I didn't need to be the center of attention. All I ever wanted was my seat in the courtroom and the quiet power of finally being seen.